Very good morning, all. Today, here we are going to discuss about the history of the pharmaceutical industry. Actually, it is from 1800 to 2022. How the pharmaceutical companies are evolved and how the research in the pharmaceutical companies happened from the time to time onward. So, we are going to discuss about the from the ancient pharmaceutical practices and how the medication will be given to the patients and in what type of medicines are there in the history from the mid 1800s to till 2022 we will discuss. So this is L Srinivas, uh, MSc PhD. So please subscribe my channel, that is Pharma Tube, and you can handle at Srini Pharma Tube. So we are going to the quickly we are going into the presentation. So first of all we will discuss how this pharma history is developed by the sequentially in a order from the mid 1800s to 2022. So at the initial phase it was very olden days. In the olden days actually, the modern era of the pharmaceutical industry was began with the local apothecaries, that is expanded from their traditional role of distributing the botanical drugs. If you see the botanical drugs such as the morphine and the quinone, etc., these are wholesale manufactured in the mid 1800s and from discoveries resulting from the applied research. So, international drug discovery from the plants began with the isolation between 1803 and 1805 of morphine. It is an analgesic and sleeping induced agent derived from the opium by the German apothecary assistant. That is, he is the Frederick Setruner, who named this compound after the Greek god of dreams, that is the Morpheus, by the late 1880s. So, German dye manufacturers had preferred the purification of individual organic compounds from the tar and other mineral sources and had also established the rudimentary methods in organic chemical synthesis. So, the development of synthesis chemical methods allowed scientists to systematically vary the structures of chemical substances and grow in the emerging science of pharmacology, expanded their ability to evaluate the biological effect of the structural changes. So later the main development of the pharmaceutical after the synthetic drugs happened between the 1945 to 1970. So majorly it was taken place as the advanced researches for the infective diseases. If you see in this area, there was a number of world wars that happened. So World War number one, World War number two. So after that war, so to cure the infectious patients, the most of the research is happened. So and in this period only most of the drug acts and the amendments and the rules and the regulations are came to control the use of these manufacturing of drugs and the usage of these drugs. At the same time, the industrial practices for the good manufacturing practices also evolved in this period from 1945 to 1970 by a lot of identifications of the drugs controls and drug measures and the usage of these drugs and the affected people injured, and most of the drugs are injurious and they caused several diseases. So because of that, most of the industrial practices came and the regulatory agencies keep the norms to manufacturing these drugs. So in this period only, these are the number of development like vaccines. If you see the rabies vaccine or the polio vaccine and the major drug, that is the insulin. So it is evaluated and the scientific research has happened for these vaccines and the insulin. So later, 1970 to 2000, most of the recent developments that happened, like whenever the small molecules or number of discoveries happened, when the competition began between the innovators and the generic players. So where because of that, most of the innovator and the generic companies are mergers are happened. So all these activities are happened in this period. So later in the 21st century, right now, whatever we are seeing the history of the development of the pharmaceutical industry, so the new field of R&D came, and the cost of innovation and how much cost incurred in the R&D, and what is the approvals of the products by the different regulatory agencies. So and how we have to market these pharmaceutical drugs, and the recently whatever the epidemic pandemic it is happened, the COVID-19 also we will going to discuss in this coming slides. So here in this slide mainly, so what are the different phases of the pharmaceutical history development I explained. So, in detail, in the coming slides, in detail, we will go what are the different phases and what are the main drugs discovered and evaluated. We will discuss. So, in this evaluation of the drugs, most of the companies like Bayer is the first company which is developed the adrenaline, epinephrine, and all these drugs. And later, Eli Lilly, Merck, Pfizer. So most of these innovator companies are involved in this research and the development of the drug molecules. So when we are seeing the modifications or the evaluations of these drugs, so previously in the olden days we can call as the medical store as a apothecary. So apothecary is one of the olden English term for a medical professional who formulates and dispenses the medicines to the physicians or surgeons and patients who are suffering from the diseases. So in the olden days, apothecary, now it is completely changed to the medical shop or maybe pharmacist or the chemist or the druggist we can see. So if we see here, the apothecary is looking like this. Most of the handmade and the botanical plant extract like that we can see here, and the evaluation has happened to the modern pharmacist and chemist, druggist. So the modern medical shop will look like this. So, if you see the history of the pharmaceutical drugs from the 1800 to 1940, so majorly how the development or the evaluation of the pharmaceutical drugs is happened. So, majorly I given the area that is the period of 1800 year to 1900, again from there to 19.